Hi, I'm Laura and welcome back to Heart Driven Tarot for this week's lesson in the cards of the tarot. Today we're going to talk about, we're moving forward into the suit of the swords, and the swords relate to the mind, intellect, communication, logic. We have here the Two of Swords. Oh, and also I'd like to add, in terms of the suit of swords, they often, in terms of timing, even though I don't use the tarot, I don't like to address timing very often in tarot because I think things are just so fluid and your mindset can really affect timing. A lot of tarot experts associate the suit of swords with autumn, the autumn season, which is just beginning this week where I live in Charleston, South Carolina, Northern Hemisphere, and also months in terms of if you are asking a timing question and the swords come up, it suggests, if it's number 2, that perhaps this development will occur in 2 months. So I just wanted to add that. Again, the air element relates to the mind, intellect, communication, and the number 2, numerologically, relates to pairing, also duality, and it can relate to partnership or opposing forces. And in fact, here it seems to me that we've got opposing forces as a general, as a general interpretation of the card. So that's just something to point out. Now, the first impression, what is your first impression when you look at this card? Well, for me, it's like stop. It's like someone saying stop. Reminds me of that song, Stop in the Name of Love. Don't go, don't pass, whatever, don't go, that don't pass, don't go card in Monopoly card game. It's like just a stopping point. You can't move forward. It's just all action ceases. That's the overall first impression. Some other important things to look at are the colors. Every time you select a tarot card, it's helpful to look at the colors. Now we've got the primary colors here are the blue sky, the blue water. Water looks a little bit turbulent there. We've got the gray, her gray tunic, the gray foundation platform, the gray bench. That to me suggests neutrality. It's kind of the idea of there's not a lot of passion there. And then again, that's often associated with the mind. It's not like that heartfelt, but it's more of the mind, the intellect. And then what's interesting too, we've got the yellow crescent moon, or waxing moon, I think it is in this case, suggesting a new beginning. And then those shoes to me, those yellow shoes are curious. And it just seems to me that it's suggesting there's possible illumination there that's coming that will help move forward in action. But let's look at some of the core symbols here as well. Well, we've got the very strong opposing swords. They're in opposite directions. They're pointed in opposite directions. And she's very balanced in how he or she, but I think it looks like a she, I don't know. The person here is very balanced in how they're holding the swords. And then again, as I said earlier, you've got the crescent moon suggesting that's like tuning into intuition and new possibilities. Got these kind of jagged rocks, and that suggests possible obstacles. And the water too, it looks a little bit turbulent, so it's suggesting there's instability or conflict here. What we also notice is that this individual is sitting very erect, almost stiff, and very no nonsense. So that suggests, okay, this person is definitely the gatekeeper. That's just, and taking a no-nonsense stance, saying, no one goes past this point. So that's important to look at. And the person's arms are crossed over their heart, suggesting they're not allowing, to get tied up into feelings. This is all about the mindset. So when this card appears upright in a reading, it's generally the overall impression and meaning is that there's a blockage of some kind, there's an impasse, there's a stoppage. If it's reversed, it could suggest that the blockage is really internal Or it could suggest that the blockage maybe is on its way out. It could also mean that. Again, it always depends on where the card falls within a spread and the particular question you asked. And the overall positive interpretation of this card, again, depending on where it is in the spread in your question, it could suggest that, oh, it's time now just to pause and get clear on what's most important to you. What is your highest priority in a situation? And that you have the time to do it now. This is the time. The negative meaning could be you're stuck. You just can't move forward. So you've got to figure out what to do here. That could be the negative meaning. Now, how to use this card if you want to move forward in your life or as a source of inspiration? Because it does seem like a blockage. But again, referring back to that positive interpretation, it could suggest this is a time where you're stuck in your brain, you're stuck in your mindset, and you need to turn within. And also, I forgot to mention, most important here, the blindfold, suggesting that the person is blind to any other influences other than these two sets, the swords representing maybe two mindsets. To me, it could also represent the conscious and unconscious minds and how they sometimes can be in opposition to each other. So to use this to move forward in your life, see it that this is suggesting a time to pause and to really get clear on what's most important to you and to tune into your intuition to resolve the situation. An affirmation that you could use with this card would be, or could be, I consider both sides of an argument or of a situation. You're able to look at both sides, and you're pausing now to look at both of those sides. Now, as far as the music selection, and let me just get my information here. The music selection that I came across is a song called Stuck in a Moment and You Can't Get Out of It by U2. I love U2. I saw them in concert 6 years ago in June 2017 in Washington, D.C., and they were phenomenal. I love Bono. In fact, I'm still in the midst of listening to his memoir called Surrender. It's fantastic. But look, I'll include the link in the show notes for that. It's a good song. Maybe I may include also his and Edge's interview with David Letterman, because I don't know, it looked very interesting, what I saw of it. And as far as book recommendations, since we're talking about, well, here, this kind of reminded me of both the subconscious and conscious minds. The other day I was thinking, I want to reread some old classics I have on my shelf. And so I pulled out The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Now this edition, this was my second copy that I got in June 1999. But my first copy, which I made a note of, and I don't know what happened to that, probably fell apart, was 1987. So I've been studying this stuff for a long time, still focusing on mastering it. But what I think is important about this book, it's clearly written, it's easy to follow, and what Dr. Joseph Murphy does is, if you're stuck, you're feeling like you're not moving forward, there may be something in your subconscious mind that is stopping you, that is blocking you. And he shows you different ways to align your subconscious and your conscious mind so that if you wanted to achieve a particular thing, you're not being pulled back by some disempowering or some negative beliefs that are buried in your subconscious. So I think it's a very powerful book to read and reread. Even though some of the language may be antiquated, it goes back decades and decades, that's been a criticism, but it's an old classic. Now, another book that I recommend, which I can't show you because I only have the Kindle version, has just been published by a client I had last year, a book coaching client, and it's called Open Up and Get Unstuck. And it's a short, well-written book on various ways to identify when you feel like you've gotten stuck because you've closed yourself off, just as she's got her arms closed off. And different practices and different questions you can ask yourself to get out of that, to get away from that, to get unstuck and to open up to new possibilities. I think it's by, I'll put the information in the show notes, but it's Open Up and Get Unstuck by Diane Martinez. So check that out. I'll have a link for that as well. So I hope this has been helpful for you. If you've not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And until next time, remember, illumine your mind, inspire your life with tarot.